I think you can take a snapshot in time, maybe a 1 or 2 year period, looking at some standard moving average levels, and see if the stock actually reflects that it relies on those. You know, if you find
Welcome back, traders and investors. We have Dan Mirkin on the line, and he is CEO of Trade Ideas, LLC. How you doing today, Dan?
It's still pretty early in California, but I'm doing fantastic. Thank goodness it's Friday. So just finishing up the week and glad to do this interview with you guys.
Okay. I became familiar with your company a few years ago when I was working with Bright Trading, and I remember seeing a presentation by David Arafat, I believe. How's David doing?
David's good. I think he's in New York today doing some business for us. But yeah, no, he's been with us for a very long time, and he heads our business development.
Okay. So tell us about Trade Ideas. How did you get the idea? How long has it been around?
Wow. Well, Trade Ideas has been around since 2002. That's when we started, and we really got the idea while we were doing another venture where we were working for, I was a CEO, a very young CEO at the time, of a company called Future Trade Technologies, which was a company that was designed to be a venture-backed competitor in the institutional space for brokerage services to hedge funds. And so we were building this product kind of from the ground up, trying to use the latest technology back, in early 2000s, see if we could help the institutional space be able to turn over their products a little bit more and just be more effective in how they move their capital. And while we were out there in the field talking to some of the most highly financed and highly resourced customers, hedge funds that were moving large amounts of money, well, we realized that there was not that much information that was available that wasn't tied to platforms. If you had a certain type of platform, you had certain type of ideas that were generated by that platform. And my partners and I thought it would be kind of nice to decouple that. So that's how we got the idea for Trade Ideas. And when the dot-com bubble burst and, 9/11 happened, and that company didn't do as well as we had liked, in 2002, we kind of put our own resources together, not being backed by anyone, and decided to start Trade Ideas. And it started, very small, just as a web-based service. And now, more than a decade later, we're still doing it, and we have the most evolved idea generation platform, in the game.
Who uses your product?
Well, about 65,000 people across the world use our product, and it's kind of divided into tiers. We have people who subscribe to our software just on their own. If you Google Trade Ideas, you'll find it, and you'll see we have different types of software as a service subscription options for people. So they can, subscribe month to month, or if they're very confident that they're going to use it, they can get a better rate by buying it for a year or various different time frames. So that's one type of way that people access our product. And then another one is we have big enterprise licenses with large retail U.S. brokers. So, for example, if you have an account at E-Trade and you're one of their top-tier customers, meaning you have over $25,000 in your account and you have access to the E-Trade Pro platform, our software is embedded directly inside, and you don't need to do anything. So they provide it for you, and the best part is there's no need to open it. It kind of comes into the default layout.
Okay.
And we have another relationship like that with Scottrade as well.
Okay, so obviously it's web-based. You don't need if you don't have it through one of those platforms, it's web-based, correct?
Well, it's both web-based and application-based. So depends on how you interact with the market. You can view the software almost anywhere, whether it's on a phone, an iPad, or as a downloadable application on your desktop, which is how most people who, kind of engage in the market seriously, they tend to use the Trade Ideas Pro application, which they, download off of our website and then install and just use it. And that's kind of, again, similar to what you get with E-Trade and within Scottrade, as it's embedded inside their active retail platform.
Okay, and so what kind of data are you pulling on this? Just everything you can imagine, volume, price action. What kind of features are available? Programmable features.
Well, what's kind of cool is that when we first started, we were trying to really make a product that could be something for anybody. So we created a new type of database technology which allowed us to look at all time frames at the same time. So when we're looking at the universe of stocks, and we look at everything, tick by tick, we're looking at 1 minute time frames, 5 minute time frames, 10, 15, 30 hour, daily, 5-day, 20, yearly, since January 1, almost anything you can imagine. And we're doing this all at the same time. So when we look for interesting ideas, we make sure that those interesting ideas kind of coalesce together on either a bunch of different time frames or specific to what somebody wants to see. And lately, just again, within the last few iterations of our software, we kind of went into more of a Netflix model where we created market channel. So when someone downloads Trade Ideas Pro, they're able to really navigate in a way that they've never been able to before. So, like for example, right now I'm watching the pre-market channel. Okay, and in the pre-market channel, you had Lake, which was making pre-market highs, and whereas you have like something like Skywork Solutions, which is making pre-market lows, and I can see which stocks right now are already gapping up the most or gapping down the most. So, for example, Exact Sciences, EXAS, if you look at that, it's gapping up like 35%. So that's my pre-market channel, and it's tuned in to just, exactly what you want to know right before the market starts. And as the market opens, you can kind of switch around.
Okay, so kind of like what we were talking about on our show here, Exact Sciences and Leg. Moving on. So, what percentage of your users have automated features? Because in this market, you got to be lightning quick, and when you got an idea, a lot of other people have that idea. A lot of the high freaks might be there ahead of you. Are there anybody that have this automated?
Yeah, we do have automation, but the way we designed our software is that we're specifically not targeting that market, although we have a niche in the segment where, for example, we have another one of our enterprise customers is called Lightspeed Trading. And with Lightspeed, we have a product called Brokerage Plus, which allows you to take any idea inside of Trade Ideas and automate that into a strategy. So you can backtest it, and it'll buy it for you. It'll manage it for you by either getting out when there's a certain profit factor or a certain loss, and it'll do all of that automatically. But I'll tell you honestly that we believe that individual investors don't really have to worry about the high-frequency traders too much because they're completely on different time frames. We're trying to find, for people who, again, obviously don't have access to super fast computers, if their time frame is something like the whole day or bigger, then the high frequency trading is really not going to play into a factor for them. They just need to find the types of setups that make them comfortable and have the highest predictive potential, which is what we help them find.
Do you think you do have high frequency traders and high frequency trading firms as your customers?
No, we don't. And again, we specifically don't target that because what you need to do to take advantage of high-frequency trading, it's more of an arbitrage game, and I think it's really quite misunderstood. It's not Machiavellian where they're trying to, attack the little people. It's really they're looking for price, discrepancies where the bid is higher than the ask for a second or, half a second, and they try to take advantage of that. Whereas what we're trying to do is we're trying to say, hey, let's look for what are the pockets of predictability that we can find for a time frame where if you didn't need any kind of fancy automation, if you were just doing it manually or even over the phone calling your broker, you could still do it and take advantage. And that's what we're doing. We're saying, listen, on the 5-day time frame or longer, for investors who invest, and maybe stay in for a month or two, we still help them by finding them opportunities on the fundamental side. In fact, we have a channel called Fundamentals where we look for kind of pockets of alpha where what's a company that's doing well on almost all of their bases, but maybe for some reason just the price action is not working out. We help people find things like that.
So you have a separate channel that incorporates fundamental data as well?
Yeah, we have, underneath, we look at everything. We look at fundamentals, we look at technicals, price, and volume. But we have a channel called the Fundamentals, and in this channel, we help people really identify, what's doing the best and why and how it's doing today, where they can do, a different type of research that's not necessarily day trading driven or even, active trading driven, but more fundamentally driven, like earnings per share or, relationships to moving averages, while at the same time maintaining a certain type of quarterly revenue growth, things like that.
Okay, I just got to go back. You made a statement, something about the high-frequency traders, and they're just looking for price discrepancies and things like that. I mean, we know they're a heck of a lot more sophisticated than that, and I just want to get your take on, the whole Michael Lewis thing that the market is rigged. I mean, it's kind of been established that they do have a, electronic advantage in the markets as far as, seeing the order flow and the larger orders and stuff. I mean, do you,
It's a great question, and it's a great thing to debate. I mean, I'm kind of the camp of, while they may have some electronic advantage, it's very difficult to predict the market. So the farther you go off of this, discrepancies that they see, the harder it is to take advantage of it, because high-frequency traders compete not with the individual investors, but with other high-frequency traders. So they are very sophisticated, but it's like, a shark and a lion. They're both predators, but they don't really, interact with one another per se, other than, they all eat food. So it's not like I'm saying that high-frequency trading completely does not affect somebody. It can affect what you're doing, but the time frames are just totally different. And most individual investors ought not be investing at a time frame that's like 2 or 3 minutes. They ought to be investing or trading for time frames that are more on the human side, where there is a little bit more risk, and that kind of risk high-frequency traders don't take. Like, they don't get into positions and find themselves, 30 minutes later still in those positions, because that's just not how the game works.
I don't think you could have brought up a better point there, and that's something that Dennis and I talk a lot, almost every day. We try and mention about lengthening the time horizon. That because we were, being at Bright Trading, we had the opportunities. We used to have the big T1 lines, going in. All the liquidity was in one place. You could get your trades done on the New York Stock Exchange. You could see exactly what was in the market. You could see the print. You could see everything transpiring, and just the more HFT got in the game, the more we lost our edge, and there was more fragmentation in the market. So what your product essentially is trying to do is give the individual trader an edge. Get them back in the game. Get them some education. Have a way to compete with the markets. I just want to get, and you went into it a little bit with the fundamentals and whatnot, but could you just, so let's say, someone's listening and they could care less about day trading. They want to, look for things for their portfolio, or, intermediate swing traders. What does your product have to offer?
Well, again, because we look at all of the data, we try to not, say, well, here's something that works for swing, or here's something that works for super long term. We just kind of look at the numbers. It's almost like Moneyball, but for trading.
Okay.
So whatever it is that you're interested in, whether it's any kind of sector or any kind of movement, we kind of look at it underneath in our database, and we say, okay, well, taking everything into consideration, going back, let's say, the last 4 months, which events in this segment led to the best predictive outcomes. So it's kind of like counting cards in Vegas, but being legal. We're using the most that sophisticated card counting you can have in the stock market and giving that ability to individual investors. Now, just because you count cards does not mean you're going to for sure win, but it gives you the best advantage. You just want to be betting or placing investments in the direction of the highest odds. And we are able to see that because we have the most data, and we have our own data. We have derived data, which we take in the exchange data, and then we create our own data from it, like where is the stock in its 5-minute range, or how much it's up from January 1, a number that you would think a lot of people would know, but they don't actually, because we have this thing called yearly highs, but most people have no idea how much their stocks are up since January 1. Well, we keep track of all these things, and we let you sort on it and use it as inputs and strategies. So investors that are interested in finding the most sophisticated, odds-based techniques gravitate toward trade ideas, and they find out that it's really not just for day trading at all. It's really more for sophisticated investing.
Okay, so you mentioned sophistication here. What about someone that's listening to this right now and they're kind of new to the markets and they're like, "Boy, I'd sure like to use this product, but man, I just don't know if I'm smart enough." What level of sophistication is needed to utilize your product?
Well, that's again, having been doing it for like a decade, we realized that investors shouldn't be tinkerers. Although we give people a lot of ability to modify the product through our market channels, we kind of already create the HBO, the Showtime, the Fox News of the market. It just, you have to tune into what you're interested in. And it's already all done for you. And plus, one of the things that really separates us from the pack is that anybody who subscribes to our service gets free one-on-one education from our direct hands-on from Jamie Hodge, who's our Director of Trader Education. He has over 20 years of professional trading experience, but also has been doing this since the beginning with us, and just taking people, through the setup, which is the hardest part, is just that first step. But when someone's helping you do it, it's all done for you. So that's really why we've been successful for so long, is the customer service. We take you from the subscription to implementation, and we hold your hand completely. So there's really no level of sophistication that you really need other than understanding that you're interested in the market, and then the software will help you, see the most interesting opportunities that meet your, criteria for capital, account size, what kind of commissions you pay, everything.
Okay, we've had Dan Mirkin here, and he is CEO of Trade Ideas LLC, a product to help people trade in the markets. Dan, thanks a lot for coming on today. Very interesting product there, and I hope some of our listeners go to your site and check things out. It's always good to get new ideas and new ways to approach the market. Thanks a lot, Dan.
Thank you for having me. Anytime, any kind of follow-up, I'd be more than happy to do it. It was my pleasure, and I hope everyone that's listening appreciates the time you guys spend showcasing new technology and helping investors navigate a market that's kind of tricky.
Yeah, that's an understatement. Okay, Dan, have a good day. Thanks for getting up early there on the left coast, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you very much. Take care.